2005, the year that Chief Mrs. Stella Obasanjo, wife of the then President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, passed on in faraway Spain. Her remains were flown back to Nigeria for burial amidst several theories about the cause of her death. Stella's death was a shocker to the nation, and Nigeria was a country thrown into national mourning. Upon the conclusion of funeral arrangements, her body was taken to Obasanjo's home in Abeokuta, where the remains were interred amidst tears from family members, loved ones, and sympathizers in attendance at the funeral. The ceremony was televised across various television channels for the entire nation to join, and for those in the diaspora to also join. As earlier noted, her death gave rise to several theories and gossips. In his book titled My Watch Volume 2, published in 2014 by Kachifo Limited, Lagos State, Nigeria, particularly from page 247 to 251, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, who was married to Stella for several years, had this to say about Stella as a person and about the cause of her death. It is about the first time that the cause of death of a public figure in sub-Saharan Africa would be so frankly stated and even documented in a book. Here is what Obasanjo said, unquote, "One major personal and family tragedy that struck during my presidency was the death of my wife, Stella. I had missed the opportunity to celebrate her 50th birthday because while the preparation was in high gear, I was arrested and sentenced by Abacha. It therefore was my plan to have her 60th birthday celebrated while we were in Aso Villa. Again, we put the preparations in high gear. One morning after our family devotion, before Stella undertook a trip abroad in final preparation, we talked about her 60th birthday. I consented to everything she wanted for her birthday celebration. Some members of our family devotion group commented on my good disposition that morning. She had chosen the priest to conduct the birthday service, and she had also chosen the hymns that would be rendered for the occasion. A few weeks back, before the arrangement got into high gear, Stella had requested permission from me to organize a special prayer for our marriage to be conducted by a Roman Catholic priest in the Villa Chapel. Father Coker, now Bishop Coker, conducted a simple ceremony. After the special prayer, she thanked me and said, quote, "You have relieved me." The trip that she undertook was to serve three purposes. 1. To rest prior to the birthday celebration activities. 2. To attend the 40th anniversary of the priesthood of Cardinal Arinze at the Vatican on behalf of both of us. And 3. To make final purchases and preparations for the birthday celebration. It was all nicely put together, and the trip went on. Obasanjo continued, still unquote, "On that fateful day, we had a national concern for a missing Bellevue plane. I was seeking information all through the night of October 22, 2005 on the aircraft from within Nigeria and Nigeria's neighbors. I was awake until about 4 a.m. on October 23, 2005, when my Chief of Staff, General Abdul Mohammed, telephoned to announce his visit to me. Such an early morning visit had never happened. That he had information about the missing aircraft, which he did not want to give me on phone. Surprisingly, he came to break the sad news of my wife's death. I was shocked beyond words, as there was no indication of any kind of illness, and I received no information later about going for any medical operation. I immediately called our son Olu in New York, asking him to come home to attend to his grandmother. My parents-in-law were in the guest house of the villa. I went to them. My father-in-law had gone for early mass at the Catholic church, but my mother-in-law was slightly indisposed and resting. I woke her up and I pretended to bring the doctor to her to give her injection for her minor illness, but in reality, The doctor was meant to sedate her before gently breaking the sad news to her. She reluctantly agreed to take the injection, but it seemed to have no effect on her. Rather, she was concerned that my wife did not call her the previous night as it was customary with her. I waved off her concern. She raised another concern that her last child, Henry, was leaving Lagos so early in the morning to come to Abuja to visit me. Obviously, Henry had received the sad news. Obasanjo went on, still on quote, "In the process, my father-in-law, Chief Abebe, returned from the morning worship. I thought he would need no sedation. To him I said, quote, Papa, Stella is suddenly seriously ill abroad, but I have been told there is no cause for alarm." End of quote. With the ground prepared, so to say, I left to attend service at the Villa Chapel. I had instructed that the news should be put out at 12 noon on the electronic media. As I was closing the chapel worship, I had to break the news to the church members. Wailing and crying followed. Obasanjo continued, still on quote, "The arrangement for bringing her corpse home was organized, and I had the unpleasant duty of receiving the casket at the Abuja airport. Then the funeral arrangement and the interment followed. It was a national mourning. I was overwhelmed by the outpouring of sympathy and grief from all quarters. An elderly senior member of the PDP said to me while Stella's body was lying in state at the banquet hall of the villa, quote, "If I know I will get this type of honor when I die, I will be ready to die tomorrow." That was how great the honor that was bestowed on her in death by Nigerians and non-Nigerians alike was. I got condolence messages from leaders and ordinary people from far and wide, including the King of Spain. Even Remy, my divorced wife, turned up at the funeral in Abeokuta. It was gracious of Remy to do that. On that occasion, she allowed reason and decency to override emotion, bitterness, and rancor. Obasanjo then concluded by frankly disclosing the cause of the wife's death as follows, still on quote, "After interment, I decided to look into the circumstances of her death. I found that part of her 60th birthday anniversary, which was unknown to me, was her operation for her tummy and her shape. This was carried out in Spain." He added, still on quote, "The doctor was careless. With the help of the Nigerian embassy and the Spanish authority, I instructed that the doctor and the clinic be prosecuted. The loss of life cannot be brought back, but successful prosecution would prevent similar carelessness and loss of lives in the future. The doctor was made to pay damages and his license withdrawn for a considerable period of time. Before the verdict in Spain, I was unaware of what I came to hear later, that I might have caused the death of my wife to sacrifice her for success in my job. This is how wicked and satanic some Nigerians can be in their rumors and mischief. Olu, Stella's son, collected whatever damages were paid. My hope is that the clinic and the doctor had learned their lessons." End of quote. This is the sad story of the unfortunate ending of the earthly life of Chief Mrs. Stella Olusegun Obasanjo, wife of Nigeria's then President Olusegun Obasanjo. Stella was born in 1945 to Chief Dr. Christopher Abebe and Madam Theresa Abebe. She was the first child in a family of 7 children. She was from Eshan West local government area of Edo State. She attended primary school at Our Lady of Apostles Primary School, Yaba, Lagos, and also attended secondary school at St. Teresa's College, Ibadan, in Oyo State. She obtained her West African School certificate with grade 1. Stella then proceeded to the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, where she enrolled for a bachelor's degree in English language. She was in Ife from 1967 to 1969. She then moved to the United Kingdom, where she studied insurance from 1970 to 1974. She worked briefly in the United Kingdom, and in 1976 she returned to Nigeria. Stella was from a privileged home, her father, Dr. Christopher Bebe, having served as the first indigenous chairman of the United Africa Company, UAC. Stella later got married to Olusegun Obasanjo, and together they had one son, Olumuyiwa Obasanjo, in 1977. At that time, President Olusegun Obasanjo was the military head of state of Nigeria, having assumed the seat of power in February 1976 following the assassination of his boss, General Murtala Mohammed. While alive and serving as the First Lady of Nigeria, Stella Olusegun Obasanjo was known for her relentless campaign for the protection of the rights of the child through her establishment of the Child Care Trust. She also joined the campaign against female genital mutilation. She declared the 6th day of February 2003 as the International Day of Zero Tolerance to Female Genital Mutilation. At the time of Stella's demise, her aged parents were alive. Stella was 59 years old and just about clocking 60 when she passed on. At the funeral, Father Matthew Hassan Kuka, now Bishop Kuka, delivered the day's sermon. The memory of Chief Mrs. Stella Olusegun Obasanjo shall remain green in the hearts of many for many more years to come.